Okay, we'll call to order the Wednesday, March 19th meeting of the Butler County Commissioners. Would everyone please rise for a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amy, public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The public comment portion of our meeting provides residents and taxpayers of Butler County a reasonable opportunity to comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before the board prior to taking official action. Presentations must be limited to 3 minutes. The chairman has asked me to remind everyone that no personal attacks on the character or reputation of county employees, department heads, or any official will be tolerated. Any speaker doing so may be ruled out of order by the chair. I will call the names in the order that they are appearing on the sign-up sheet. When you come to the podium, please state your name and your municipality of residence. Peggy Aberson.
Morning. Peggy Eversole, Middlesex Township. Have a few announcements this morning. First, looking for student job seekers. The annual career fair at BC3 is merging with the transfer fair for a new event called Future Fair. That Future Fair will be held next Wednesday, March 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Founders Hall. Next announcement is basically a question for you. What would life be like on Earth without trees? Without trees, there would be no oxygen or food. There would be no life. Trees provide a habitat for wildlife. Birds and small mammals nest in the trees. The trees, through its seeds and berries, provide a food source for the wildlife. Fruit and nut-bearing trees provide food for us. Trees also protect the soil from erosion. As trees grow, the roots spread out and compact the soil. This helps keep the topsoil intact during rainstorms and floods. Trees provide shade in the summer and protect against strong winds in the winter. Trees also provide a show of flowers in spring and a portrait of autumn colors in the fall. Trees are essential to our environment. Take going green one step further this year and grow green to preserve life and the environment. Our conservation district is having its 2014 seedling seal. Deadline for placing your orders is March 28, 2014. For more information, you can reach conservation at 724-284-5270. Third announcement, mark your calendars for April 9th from 9:30 to 1 for the Butler Spring Job and Career Fair, which will be held at the Butler Days Inn. This gives employers and job seekers an opportunity to connect. Final announcement, just a little bit early announcement, on Friday, April 11th from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., our Parks and Recreation Department will host a flashlight Easter egg hunt at Alameda Park. Cost is $5 if you register by April 4th and $7 if you miss the April 4th early discount deadline. For more information, you can contact the park office at 724-284-5383. Thank you.
Next.
Commissioner James Eckstein.
Yes, I'm speaking to today. I'm going to review my speech from December 18th public meeting. The title was "The Sale of Sunnyview is Not a Meaningless Diatribe." Bill McCarrier and Gail Perrin believe that anyone who disagrees with their viewpoint must have lied. At that meeting, Mr. Pinkerton calls that person who sets forth a different viewpoint an adolescent third grader, which was me. And Mr. McCarrier refers to my speeches as one of the meaningless diatribes. My reports must not be too meaningless. I was banned from report time. 6 times I spoke about Sunnyview, then I was banned. My speech that day was, in 1898, the citizens of Butler County had the compassion and foresight to purchase a county farm for those who in the community needed a hand up. This property became known as Sunnyview and housed the elderly and could no longer, for those who could no longer work on their farms or shops or were not blessed with children. Those community members also cared deeply about the less fortunate than they were, the blind, the physically disabled, those with dementia and mental illness. Butler County was then and is now a church-going community. We were taught values in church of forgiveness, love, care, compassion for others, and would be our entire lives, with us our entire lives. Let's reflect on what in 1898 they had in material possessions. Almost no one had indoor plumbing, public water, public sewage. There was no electricity. There were no cars. There were no airplanes, washing machines, central heating, refrigerators, and no antibiotics. Yet they cared about those less fortunate. Look at the majority of today have in comparison. Now, cannot we spare $10 or $20 here to make sure our wonderful Sunnyview, the safety net remains the county-owned facility? I can afford this nominal amount, and I consider it a privilege for me to carry on this tradition. Once gone, it will never be back. Bill McCary and Dale Pinkerton have made it their mission to divorce us from Sunnyview. The trouble is, most of us were married in the church and believe we should attend counseling and money management classes and should do everything in our power to hold our families together for the sake of our children, our schools, and the community. Family values work in our community and have been a proven test of time. Sunnyview's successful mission has been proven for over 100 years. Dale Pinkerton and Bill McCary just won a divorce. Reflect upon your compassion, morals, and ethics for others in our community. We need to continue to take care of our own. We cannot count on for a profit company to care for our county residents regardless of their ability to pay. We cannot. I can assure everyone that I wrote this letter, it was heartfelt, and expressed my beliefs of those of the vast majority of constituents in Butler County. It was not a third grader writing a meaningless diatribe.
That's time.
Today, our divorce becomes final, and who cares? Take your mallet and replace it.
You're very professional, James.
Thank you very much. 3 minutes.
Jimmy Steitner?
Good morning, all you people. Commissioners,
Good morning.
a real pleasure to see you. Mr. Eckstein, I had the opportunity to meet with you down at East Butler Fire, and it was a real pleasure. Mr. Pinkerton, we have discussed things. Mr. Ferrier, I apologize I've not had the opportunity to speak with you before. One of the things that I would like to see is if and when we turn this over to a corporation, we continue some of the feelings that Mr. Eckstein had. I think you were very eloquent and whatnot. I would hope more than anything else that you commissioners would try to get along somewhat more beneficial or more appropriate for the commission. Again, I've not sat in the offices and I don't know the personalities that are involved. So I hope that's one of the things that come out. Mr. Terrier, if and when this Sunnyview is turned over, we hope that there will be consideration for all residents in Sunnyview, that they will have their opportunities and any grievances they may have. I know you look at the budget, and I feel for you, Mr. Pinkerton, and your vast experience in your automobile service, your funeral homes, and things that you have managed. One would think that you are a sympathetic individual, and also you look for the county. So we appreciate all of those opportunities that are given. Again, let me thank you for your opportunity. We from East Butler obviously want to tell each and all three of you commissioners we support your efforts. We did the best for you, and we hope that you continue in your service to us. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to say this to that. I think people have the wrong idea. That, look, I never harbor any hate for anyone. Well, we have different viewpoints, and I believe in a different form of government than the other two commissioners. That's it, point blank. You know, I believe that there's going to be change. In the old, school, they roll and get elected as king or whatever they think they are, and dictators. I think it's got to be gone, and I'm trying to point that out to the community so we get different people elected. Okay? I'd like to have a different form of government and people, not a form of government, but different, more what the citizens want, or caring about what the more of a representative democracy. That's what I was trying to say. I'm for a representative democracy, and that's why I'm up here doing it, and I hope that people realize that. But there is, let me tell you, that is way overblown, that you know, a lot of that we harbor. I don't think Bill does. I don't know about Dale, but I never get that feeling from Bill, but we have different viewpoints, okay? Thank you.
Sorry, you've had your time, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Matthew Deck?
Good morning, my name is Matthew Beck, I'm from Pennsylvania. Just got a few things to turn around and say as pertaining unto the attorney's response unto Mr. Eckstein. Recently, the Butler Bar Association has issued an edict decrying Commissioner Eckstein for making a public statement as pertaining his concerns about the eradication of jury commissioners to ensure the integrity of the jury selections. And according unto them, their interpretation of the PA code that states, quote, "A lawyer should strive to protect the dignity and independence of the judiciary, particularly from unjust criticism and attack," means that if a publicly elected official raises concerns under their constituents that elected them about the conduct and actions of the judiciary, then he or she is to be attacked by them. If I was Mr. Eckstein, I would possibly sue them for defamation of character before a jury of my peers. How dare these dime store babblers attempt to berate a public servant for speaking his opinion of the condition of the Butler County courts? You people are as hypocritical as you are un-American. One, the judges of Butler County do not, and I can challenge anybody to turn around and prove me wrong, follow PA codes of performance and disregard the 14th Amendment in its entirety.
Mr. Deck,
routine
Mr.
basis.
Deck, the operations of the Butler County Bar Association are not subject to the jurisdiction of this board, so I'm going to ask you to focus your comments on something that is or could be before this board.
Okay, if they are not turning around, have nothing to do with this board, they shouldn't be speaking before this board or
They
saying
aren't.
anything about any of the commissioners. But yet nevertheless, I'll drop that subject matter right then and there. But I will say, if this board right here, the commissioners of this county, there's a reason that there's legislative, executive, and judicial branches. They were meant to be checks and balances, one against another. Not to say, I am isolated from what these people do, and these people can do what they want because I'm of a different branch. If you cannot turn around and perceive that there is something wrong with a county official, if he's being criticized, and actually, no matter how you look at it, if this is a public stance right here, is it not written in not only our Constitution, but even in the federal Constitution, that if an individual desires to turn around and take a public stance against the public performance of elected officials, that he has a right to so do, so long as he is not doing it in a manner which is, how should we say, revolutionary or violent? I would have to say that that does exist. That right there perhaps is something that must maybe needs to be challenged either by me or the ACLU, as it was done in Orange County, California. As pertaining under the sale of Sunnyview, you say you represent your constituents? Did not the Butler Regal already take a poll and the vast majority said, no, don't sell it? Are you representing the constituents of this county or the corporations? And if so, is there any lobby money that was paid to you to make these observations or these laws?
That's time.
Time is up, sir.
Mark Krenitsky?
I get to go after Matthew, boy, that's tough. Good morning, Commissioners. Nice to see you all this morning. I do think it's a good idea to sell Sunnyview. I really do. I think that's in the best interest of the taxpayers of Butler County. I also think it's in the best interest of people who live there. Sunnyview needs to be on its own, and it needs to still provide the same high-quality care. Also, I think it's a good idea. I talked to Commissioner Pinkerton about this and Sheriff Mike, that the Sheriff's Office was adding, not really adding 4 deputies, I guess adding hours for 4 deputies. I think without talking about the security, I think that's going to help the security here at the building. Plus, it should make more money for the county. Just that they can serve more warrants, we get more fines, and hopefully we can get people through the system faster, which will save the county some money. Next. This one's tough also. Okay, I'm going to talk about a bathroom now. The one in Alameda Park. $280,000 for a bathroom is a lot, just spend. And we're replacing 4 porta potties that's costing us $240 a month, or a little less than $3,000 a year. Now, I know you all know that. I will mention, and I told Commissioner Pinkerton, our last condo we sold at the Fairways at Crindale sold for $287,000. So that gives you kind of a rough price comparison. And it had 3 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms. I don't say anything else there. I did see that the Marsh School Board voted not to sell the gas rights. I think that's not a good idea. I think you're helping out countries in this world that do not like the United States at all. We need to be producing more gas and oil. And if you want to see why, right now with what Putin did with invading Crimea, our gas would be $6 a gallon at least if we were not producing as much gas and oil as we are now in this country. Okay, last thing. I'm sorry, I got to give a good one to Commissioner Eckstein. I do think it was a waste of taxpayers' dollars to send 5 inspectors, as he told me, to his house in Evans City. I think they could have been used better elsewhere. I'm sure there's other buildings, other houses in Evans City that are also bad. I think they were just trying to intimidate Commissioner Eckstein. Anybody knows him knows that won't work. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Mark.
That's all for public comments.
All right, let's move on. We have minutes from our March 3rd meeting and our March 5th meeting.
Make a motion to accept.
Is there a second to approving these minutes?
I'll second that.
All in favor of approving the minutes as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Old business.
Under old business, we have an item for Parks and Recreation. Gary Pinkerton.
Hi, Gary.
Morning.
Morning.
As the board is aware, at the last Commissioners' public meeting, we requested that the bids for the restroom at Alameda Park be tabled so that they could be further reviewed by the engineer, and also to verify the price from the contractor that could cause the difference between the low bid and the next bid, whether or not it was a good bid and we had not missed something. We were able to accomplish both. So today I'm here to request that the bid for the construction of the restroom at Alameda Park be awarded to Bob and Construction of West Sunbury in the amount of $272,800.
Is there a motion to accept this bid and approve it?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Yes, Jim?
Good question. The Part A and Part B we had on that bid, refresh me with the 2 prices.
Okay, the Part B, Commissioner, was to build the whole structure, but then not install one of the composting tanks to be installed later.
Okay.
That was just because, because in turn we couldn't come back and rebuild the whole building, but we could have saved a little bit of money. But in turn, the tank itself it costs more than the difference in the bid. The tank itself costs more than what we would be saving if we buy it at a later date.
What were the 2 prices again?
The second price was $260,300.
Okay, and with everything complete, it's 272?
$272,800.
Okay, I want to make sure we're putting that.
Okay, any other discussion?
Wait a minute, I'd just like to say this for the rest of Mark's comment about the bathroom being overpriced. I agree with you. Mark, this other stuff is ridiculous. It is commercial. We did look at that. We talked it over thoroughly with Gary. I don't disagree with what you're saying. There's also a storage on there, but when you can buy a house for what it costs for the restrooms, don't worry, we're with you, and we weren't happy. But we did talk it over with Gary thoroughly about the procedures and what, and it's not like we just passed it, okay, Mark? So we did look it over, and I'm convinced it's the best thing to do in this circumstance, okay?
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The building itself, of course, because it's in the park, has to be a commercial building. And the building is 30 by 52. It has 2 storage rooms on it. It's a cut block building. The other items on it, of course, we have to address all the requirements of the American Disability Act, which means we also have to put in, which is included in the bid, the handicap hard surface parking, the handicap hard surface walkways, not only to the restroom, but to the existing playground that is adjacent to the restroom. And also, we're installing a walkway, an ADA accessible walkway that has to zigzag down over the hill from the area of the Oddfellows shelters to the restroom down below. Because the park is all set up that the restroom will be accessible through walkways from all the shelters with the construction of that walkway in the community. The other items that we run into, as the board is aware, we now have two major events at the park in the back section of the we're going to start calling it, instead of new construction, the Oddfellows Circle, because that's the main shelter that's back there. We have two major events, the Flower and Home Show that comes in May, and the Butler County Fall Fest, which is in September, which attracts somewhere between 5,000 to 6,000 people in one day to those events. We're also working with another organization, and hopefully their event that is moving to Alameda Park from another location in the county will also attract that kind of numbers in the future. And again, one of the things we have, a lot of those types of events, are not happy with just having four-job facilities.
The other thing is the fact that it's grow greener, and if we hadn't done it in the manner we're doing it, we would not have gotten the grant. And the grant is more than half, it's at least half of it, right? So.
Right. And very honestly, what it will service for, once the building is up, we're also going to do a presentation sign in front of it. Again, explaining how the system works, why it works. I mean, this system is also used in private homes and actually in some business offices, simply because they don't have the proper perk test, or they just believe in going greener. So it's also going to be a demonstration part.
Maybe, Gary, maybe the other commissioners let me cut the ribbon on that? They don't let me do much, but maybe I can do the best.
We can have a ribbon cutting when we're done.
All right, thanks, Gary. Proclamations?
None this morning, sir.
Okay.
We do have items under the Board of Elections. Sherry Brewer.
Sure.
Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, Commissioners. This morning I'll be asking for the approval to move two precincts. The first one is to move Cranberry Township West 3 from the Christ Baptist Bible Church at 2721 Rochester Road to the Cranberry Township Building Council Chambers at 2525 Rochester Road. This move is due to a scheduling conflict with the church's preschool program. That's what I'm going with.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The second one is to approve the move from the Cranberry Township West 5 precinct from the Cranberry Township Building to the council chambers at 2525 Rochester Road to the St. Ferdinand Church in Alinsky Hall at 2535 Rochester Road. This move is to make room for the Cranberry West 3 inside the township building. And I ask for your approval.
Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
And my third item is I'm asking for approval to appoint Gail DeServa, Kathy Fernandez, and Karen Barbaty to the Computation Board for the May 20th, 2014 primary election and the November 4th, 2014 general election.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Sounds like you're playing musical chairs down there in Cranberry Town.
Well, that's been an ongoing problem down there with that church, and this time this is a permanent move so that we will not have to do this again. It seems like, other than a presidential primary that's held in April, the preschool graduation has always conflicted with election day, so this year will eliminate that problem.
Thanks, Sherry.
Moving on to new business. First item, Treasurer Diane Marburger is here with a public announcement.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for letting me come forward today. I'd like to make the announcement that the Treasurer's Office is now officially accepting online tax payments for the municipalities that we directly collect property tax for, and they are the City of Butler, Callery Borough, West Sunbury Borough, and Valencia Borough. The taxpayers may go online at the county's home page at www.co.butler.ca.us, and there is a quick click menu on the right-hand side, and you'll find about the fourth bullet down, pay taxes online. All they need to do is click there. They can access their information based off the tax card that they receive, or simply use their name. There is a convenience fee that is disclosed to the taxpayer before they proceed. If they decide not to do it, they can easily abort that transaction and pay it the former ways, which is by check, by cash in the treasurer's office, or by mail, by sending us a check. So when they go online, they will either use a credit card or an e-check. And this is something that we've been asked in the past, can you accept my payment online? Well, now we can say that we can. And I also would like to thank the Records Management Improvement Committee, because the funding for this software to be able for us to do this was funded through the Records Management Improvement Fund. And I would also like to take one more moment here. I'd like to make sure everyone is aware. I was on the radio on March the 10th, and then on Friday, the Secretary of Agriculture stopped in to Butler County to promote Dog License Awareness Month. March is Dog License Awareness Month. And thank Mr. Pinkerton for coming out to the shelter whenever Secretary Gray was here last Friday. It's very affordable to buy a dog license. I'd rather see you buy an $8.45 dog license than get hit with a $300 fine. Because beginning in April, dog law enforcement will really kick into full force. So if you haven't gotten your dog a tag, please do so. If you know somebody who has a dog, please remind them to get one. And that's the end of my info.
Okay, the age-old question, why do dogs have to have licenses and cats don't?
Well, that is a good question. I always say when they pass a law to get cats licensed, I think that's the day I'm going to resign. Because cats are of the nature where they run away. They're just different animals. For a dog, might come up and give you a nip or something. You know, they might get a little too friendly. But
thank you, Diane.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next item under the District Attorney's Office, Rich Goldinger.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, morning.
I'm here today asking your approval to apply for the 2014-2015 Victims of Juvenile Offenders Grant, that's also known as the VOJO Grant. The grant amount is $21,325, and we use that money to fund a victim advocate for juvenile court.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Next under Court Administration, Tom Holman.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Tom.
I have three quick things for you this morning. First, I'm seeking your permission to make application PCCD for the 2014-2015 DRC, or Day Reporting Center Grant. We'll be asking for about $340,000, and then we'll take whatever they give us. I'm asking for your approval to make this application.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Second, I'd like to ask for your permission to amend the STRAM contract that we have. That's the transdermal sensing units that we use in alcohol-related cases through adult probation. They have made available to us a product that is about half the daily cost, and rather than presenting the 24/7 test for alcohol use, it's more like a breathalyzer. Just an answer to the question that was posed on Monday, no. Your sister or your pet cannot blow into this. Apparently there is, whenever you blow into this, your picture's taken, and we're using some rudimentary facial recognition software, they can tell if it's you or not.
That's
So
interesting.
I'm asking for your permission to permit the amendment to this contract.
By the way, Bill asked that question about your dog, not me. I'm sure everybody's
Well,
like, it was me first.
Well, you know, it is, I thought it was not the dog, I was being facetious, but it was a legitimate question. If you have to blow into this thing, how do they know whether it was you or your wife or your husband or your kids?
They're going to
And
take
you've
your
answered
picture
that.
and
It
match
takes your picture also, that's
and
very
match it
good.
against what they have on file.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Gentlemen, my last request is for looking for approval to apply or to apply to amend the 2013-2014 DRC grant PCCD has made some additional money available for treatment. If we make application here for the next several days, we can draw down an additional $6,000. I'm asking for your approval to make that application.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I hope your whole day is backwards like your presentation was here in the agenda.
He's a valued employee, give him a break.
He started at the bottom, worked his way up.
Next item under emergency services, Steve Bicehouse.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Steve.
A few items for your consideration today. Item number one is reappointment of Ray Stepler, Jay Grinnell, and Joe McCombs to the Communications Council for a 3-year term ending in March 2017. I ask for your approval on that.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. Item number two, renewal of a maintenance agreement with Eaton Corporation for the unlimited power supply for the 911 center in the amount of $6,951. This is a budgeted line. I ask for your approval on that.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. Item number three is approval of an agreement with Consolidated Communications to remove their 911 trunks from the 911 center and route them through the CenturyLink routers. This is in anticipation of the Westport project. It'll actually reduce the amount of trunks and the associated costs to the county by approximately $300 per month. So I ask for your approval on that.
Make the motion.
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Item number four is approval of contract with JH Consulting for a commodity flow study to be done in Butler County as part of the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant. And what this is there is a firm that will actually go out, and I have a list of the sites they will go out and actually count the truck traffic that comes through Butler County. They will actually write down the numbers of the hazardous materials, and it allows for the hazardous materials team to be able to train and plan appropriately for the highest risks to the county. So there's quite a list. They're going to be at 356 and 28, 422 at Geysers, 38 and 68, 422 and 19, 19 and the Turnpike, on the Turnpike, 68 Fairmont Road, Route 8 and 108, Route 8 and 228, and I-79 and 228. So they'll also query the rail companies as to see what the top chemicals that run the railways through the county also. This is for a total of $5,000. 80% will be paid for out of the grant, $1,000 will be responsibility of the county. So I ask your approval on that.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. Can I have a question? Do they stop the trucks?
No,
or-
they just sit
Just
alongside
look
the
at
road. They put up signs, traffic study process. They'll sit alongside the road and actually count in, depending 2 to 4 hours, they'll count at that location, count the number of trucks, count the placards, write it all down, and compile the information. So we have that.
How will they do the railroads? Will they get that information direct from the railroads?
Correct, yes. They'll contact the railroads.
Just so people understand, the placard on the truck tells what's in it.
Yes.
So there's a number on that truck, and they know automatically, when they see that placard and the number, what's in that truck.
Correct. There's a UN number, 4 digit UN numbers.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And the last item I have for your approval is approval to sign up with Active 911, which is a web-based alerting software program for our volunteer teams at the county. That would be the hazmat team, the water rescue team, and the special medical response team. It allows them to be able to use phones, smartphones, to be able to see who's responding to the incident. It will allow them also to map themselves to that location. As you know, our volunteer teams are from all over the county, so quite frequently they're not familiar with the area that they may be going. So this would be for a total of $11 per device, not to exceed a total of $1,000, and we will pay for this out of 100% of grant funding. There will be no county dollars expended for this. So as for your approval on that.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second that.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I ask for permission to be excused for the time of the meeting.
You're excused.
Thank you.
That's-
The next
Does the
item.
media have any, excuse me, just a minute. Does the media have any
Oh, sorry.
questions for Steve? Anybody? Okay.
Moving Moving on to the prison items, Warden Schaefer was not able to be here this morning, so he's asked me to present these two items on his behalf. The first item, we're asking for your approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the PA Department of Corrections to act as a third-party mechanism for individuals to report allegations of sexual abuse under the Prison Rape Elimination Act. This has been discussed by Prison Board, and they're bringing this recommendation forward to you. There's no cost to the county. This is more of a hold harmless type of agreement. We ask your approval.
I'll make that motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And this was approved by the prison board. They're just passing this on for ratification by the Board of Commissioners.
Yes, sir.
Next item.
The next item, we're asking your approval of amendment number 5 to the contract with Trinity Services by and through its Canteen Correctional Services Division to extend the term of the agreement to December 31st, 2014. This is for the food services at the prison. It is at a per meal cost of $1.262, $1.262, effective January 1st, 2014. Again, this was discussed yesterday at Prison Board, and they're bringing this recommendation forward to the commissioners. We ask your approval.
Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
I just, as far as whether we all get along with the prison board the other day, I offered the solicitor and all the prison board members, I'd take them to lunch at the prison if, to try the prison food. I didn't have any takers, but I thought it was you know, I did reach out to the others. So anyway, it only went up 3 cents, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next, under Facilities and Operations, John Campbell.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, John.
Hi, John.
Today I'll be asking for your approval on a contract date transfer from September 30th, 2013 to December 31st, 2013. This is for the Sun Suite Live program for the certified mail with Pretty Road. The contract will remain the same, and the contract length will remain the same.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Second thing I have for you today is consideration and approval of a proposal for Pedersen as a requirement of the stormwater management program on Cranberry and Magistrates. Cranberry Township is asking for 1, construction observation, as-built drawings, and certification. And this would be in the amount of $4,290.
And if I may, Commissioners, this is an item that appears under Commissioners number L 4B. And it's fine to take it out of order here if you like.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Discussion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Permission to excuse?
You're excused, John.
Next, under Human Services, Carmine Scotese. Mr. Scotese is asked to take his items to switch the order.
He's going to switch them all around here, too.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm requesting Commissioners' approval for renewal of an annual licensing and support agreement for our Laserfish document imaging system in the amount of $5,312, which has no increase over last year. Some of the benefits of the system is it has reduced the need for file cabinets in their space, while facilitating our ability to retain a massive amount of records. It also saved considerable amounts of paper and staff time by eliminating the need to print and file hard copies, by storing emails and attachments directly into the system, and eliminating the need to make and distribute multiple hard copies by quickly scanning and emailing documents to any number of recipients. The system is also HIPAA compliant.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That is an aye for me too. I didn't say anything. I'll
Yes.
stick there.
The other item, the Commissioners will recall that a stipulation by the Department of Public Welfare with their approval of our transition plan from a state-administered civil service system to a locally administered merit system required the establishment of an alternative dispute resolution process for addressing grievances related to personnel actions introduced by non-bargaining unit employees. The final step that the employee can use to appeal his or her dispute in the ADR process is a review of the appeal by an ADR panel composed of 3 human resource professionals. These are appointed by the commissioners, and one each is from the public sector, the private sector, and an educational institution. When we started this panel, we had no experience related to the amount of time and effort the panel members would have to dedicate to hearing appeals that would range from non-selection for a position to discharge. Nor did we have any information from the state or the few counties that recently started a merit system like ours, because they, like us, were in the early stages of their operation. And they had no track record with ADR panels. We decided to seek volunteers until we had a better understanding as to the time commitment. Recently, our ADR panel completed their first review and determination of an employee appeal. It involved the employee's discharge. The panel spent over 6 days to prepare their testimony, review documents and legal briefs, discuss and write their decision. They took the process very seriously and were very proficient in all their deliberations and actions. The Director of Personnel, the County Solicitor, and I believe that the extraordinary time and effort the panel dedicated to hearing this appeal went far beyond a reasonable expectation for someone acting in a professional capacity, volunteering on their own time. I'm requesting authorization to pay each member of the panel a stipend of $1,500 with our thanks and appreciation. The figure is commensurate with fees paid civil service hearing officers at $250 per day. The amount will be paid in state funds. For future hearings, we are also requesting $250 a day for ADR panel members. In retrospect, this is far more advantageous and expedient in cost and time than, for example, a former case in which we had to take 7 staff down to Pittsburgh, have the appeal heard by a civil service hearing officer over a full day, and wait over 8 months for the following for a decision. Going forward, we are in discussions with DPW to request a waiver of the 3-person ADR panel and have just one person hear the appeal, like a hearing officer does in civil service hearings. We believe that this action will make the appeal process more efficient in both time and cost. I'm asking for your approval.
I'll make the motion. Is there a second? I will second it. Discussion?
Discussion. Look, number one, this really disturbs me. I think this is a salary board issue. When we do, I'll give you an assessment appeals. We have an assessment appeals board. Recently, it was $100 a day. I appointed a woman that's a practicing attorney to do that job. She agreed, and we just recently raised it to $150. So number one, I think the rate is way too high. Number two, I truly think we have to change these appeal rates for the assessment appeals. It goes before salary board. Now we're doing it retroactive on a legal maneuver to give them money after they volunteered to do it. Look, I was on the board of directors of the Mental Health Association. I volunteered to do that job gratefully. Okay, I didn't ask for money after I got the job done. They would have laughed in my face. It's ridiculous. We have people that agreed to do this. You change it to next time. You don't take tax dollars, $4,500 in tax dollars, and give it to people retroactively. We vote on things up here before it happens. That's what I believe. I believe we're making a very odd exception here. Number two is, they voluntarily agreed to do this. If they didn't, we deal with it then. Okay? So now we're going at retroactive. But the price is too much. Let's see, number three here. I think it's like a bonus. 2 of these employees, their employers paid them to work there. So their employees, I take it, they make about $250 a day at work. So now we haven't rectified the problem as their employers paid them $250 to go to work. Now we're giving them a bonus of $250 per day. Really? I mean, really, $250 a day of the tax dollars money? We haven't worked out that problem. It is not being addressed by Carmine. So that's $500 per day they want to have these people to net. I mean, that is ridiculous. Okay, they ruled in Bill and Dale's favor on this case. We wanted to get rid of them, you're giving a bonus for getting rid of them. If they would have said no, would they have been giving them a bonus for not doing it? Somehow I doubt it. Okay, if it wouldn't have been in the county's favor, the county wanted to get rid of this person. I think the whole process is unfair. I think Joe Donaldson was treated unfairly. She exercised her due duty to put the client's safety above all else. We're going to see if they're going to take it to court. You know, I do not know that, neither does the county, whether they appeal this to common pleas court. I know she has good attorneys. But our duty of people in children and youth and area and aging at Sunnyview is to do not hurt the client first. And that's what that woman did. So I think this is a disgrace, and I think it shouldn't be done. Thank you very much.
Well, Jim, that's one of the most ignorant, ridiculous statements I ever heard, that you say that they ruled in Dale and I's favor. They did not rule in Dale and I's favor. They ruled in the county's favor. We had nothing to do with it. So to say something like that is stupid and ignorant.
I'd like to say...
I'm not done yet,
I'm
please.
sorry, Phil. I apologize.
Whether or not these employers of these individuals paid them has nothing to do with the county. In some cases, they took their vacation for this. These people are very difficult to find, someone who would take this time out from their job to work for the county at no charge. We're trying to compensate them and say, we want to thank you by paying you for doing this. When they agreed to serve in this committee, no one had any idea what the committee would be involved in as far as time goes. They thought maybe a day or two a year would be all that would be involved. But this first case turned out to be how many days, Carmine? 6 days. Plus they had to do homework on this. Most of them took all this work home. They had document after document, which they studied in the evening. So they are very deserving of what they are paid. And I'm sure $250 a day is not the same as probably not as much as they get paid in their jobs. Because these are very specialized people. And I think we figured there's only, from the education field, there's only 4 in Butler County, I believe. Slippery Rock University, BC 3, Butler High School, and maybe Seneca, maybe not even 4. So they're very, very difficult to find people of this caliber. And we may not be able to find them again. And I understand that you are working to have the state change this so that we don't have to have 3 people. Dale.
I just wanted to say that these people have not asked for this. It's the fact that they spent 6 full days, 8-hour days, plus time at home to do this. And we felt as though they should be compensated. And I personally feel that they should for giving up that kind of time. And I know at least one of them took vacation to do it, so that's my feelings on it. And I think they're very deserving, and they did it for the county, not for any one individual. They took all the figures and did it in the manner that they should. Thank you.
I'd like to say this is a rebuttal. The law firm that they had investigate me and for alleged improprieties as commissioner, and I was found innocent, and they didn't want me to make the report public. They didn't want me to make the report public. They didn't give him a dime extra. They'd send us a bill for $3,000 extra. They didn't give him a dime.
What's this have to do with anything?
Well, I think it has something to do with it. Paying him a bonus.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, under Human Services, Children and Youth Agency, Joyce.
Good morning, Joyce.
I'm here on behalf of the Children and Youth Advisory Board to request your reappointment of Paula Opelka for another 3-year term. Unfortunately, I was not able to reach her to get her resume as Commissioner Eckstein requested at Monday's agenda setting meeting, but I can tell you she has 6 years. She's been on the board for 6 years, and she is a retired elementary school principal from Butler School. I respectfully request you.
I make the motion.
Is there a second? I will second it. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thanks, Joyce.
Next, under Planning Commission Bridge Program, Kevin Gray.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Kevin.
Today I'll be asking for your approval to have the county solicitor and I prepare an agreement with Fairview Township for one of their bridges pending repair.
Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Question, Kevin. We've been doing this more and more. Are we doing this at the expense of our county-owned bridges?
No, these are small repairs that we do. They only take less than a week of time for us to do these small repairs.
Okay, thank you.
And the townships do pay for all the,
Yes, the
all
township pays for
the
all
material and our labor.
Labor, yes.
So it works out for them and helps them, and
Yes.
of course helps the county, so. Thank you.
Kevin, one question. Didn't we have, you did one of these last year? Is there three?
We did 3 last year.
Oh, 3, okay.
Yeah, one for Butler Township, one for Petroleum Borough, and one for Clay Township.
Is this the last one with that defect?
You're doing
Well-
Zelienople this year, too.
We're doing one in Zillion too.
He's got a list.
I have a list.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Next, under recycling and waste management, Cheryl Kelly.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Hi, Cheryl.
Today I'm asking for ratification of an agreement with Froggy Radio. They're going to air some ads for our hazardous waste and electronics collections. There are 5 sets of ads, and they will air the week before the March 22nd collection, May 3rd, July 12th, September 13th, and November 8th, for a total of $3,500. And that is, half of that will be reimbursed through our Act 190 reimbursement grant from DEP. And I ask your approval.
Is there a motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, under Sunnyview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, Sue Marie.
Good morning, Sue.
Today I'm going to ask your approval to write off an uncollectible accounts for 2013 for Sunnyview in the amount of $301,155.98. We do budget for a bad debt allowance, and this exceeds our budget by about $51,000. The main category in this is private pay. There are people that we do have liens on houses. Either they apply for medical assistance and they want granted it for various reasons, and at this point we think it's unacceptable. So I ask your approval of that.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sue.
First item under Commissioners. This will be a motion to appropriate $5,900 from the 2013 Marcellus Legacy Funds to 3MJC. That's a nonprofit organization assisting Moraine, McConnell's Mills, and Jennings Center to assist with their ADA garden construction project at the Jennings Environmental and Educational Center and Park. And this is contingent upon receiving appropriate financials from the group. This motion is being brought forward by Commissioner Eckstein, and there is a representative here from 3MJC, Nancy Nalepa, who can answer any questions. Commissioner Eckstein.
Yeah, I'd just like to say on this, I think it was, we get Marcellus Shield legacy money, which we have to spend on parks and recreation, and I feel very privileged. I hope this passes, because I feel very privileged to be able to give them this money from the legacy funds, and this is what it is intended for. They have all the labor donated. They have a fine group of people they're willing to do this. That was very impressive. They came and briefed us in Bill McCary's office about this. So this just pays for the materials. It's the last of 3 phases at the Jennings Center. And it's for handicapped people, for a garden area they're creating at the center. So I'm very, we also got briefed about what the Jennings Center does, which was very informative too. But I was very, I think it's a great project, and I'm very thankful that the volunteers are going to do this for the handicapped, and it means a lot to us.
Okay, as the chief clerk mentioned, we have a policy that the people we give money to from county funds, whether has to from the state or whatever, has to file a financial statement with us. So the motion needs to be contingent upon them filing these financial statements. So are you making that motion?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, I'll make that motion. Contingent on that.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item, we're asking your approval of the bond for the tax claim director. This is a premium amount of $4,327 for a 4-year bond. It provides a limit of $1.5 million in coverage for public employment dishonesty or loss. The bond is with C.W. Howard Insurance Agency, and this is a savings of $1,877 from 4 years ago when we last placed that bond with C.W. Howard. We ask your approval.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Next item, we're asking for the adoption of an ordinance, 2014-01, authorizing the issuance of 2014 bonds to refund the county's Series 2004 general obligation bonds. And here to make the presentation is Anthony Ditka, our bond counsel from the firm of Dinsmore and Shaw. Anthony.
Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning. Good morning. You all have in front of you a document that looks like this. And it is an ordinance that, in essence, does 6 things. First and foremost, it authorizes the issuance of general obligation bonds, pledges your full faith and credit to the payment of those bonds. We're going to issue bonds, we're going to agree to pay them back, and in this case, it's for the purpose of refunding your existing 2004 bonds. Now, the ordinance includes in it a provision that we will not go forward with that refunding unless we can save 3% on the refunding, which is an amount that's roughly equal to about $1.2 million. The second thing it does is it sets the maximum principal amount, interest rate, maturity dates for new bonds. Anytime a local government wants to borrow money, you have to provide the state, through the Department of Community and Economic Development, the details on what you're borrowing. You can do that either with the bond issue itself, when it's ready to be done, or you can do it through parameters, like we have here. We set a maximum amount, we set maximum rates, we send it to the state, and then when the deal is done, if it fits in those parameters, all is well. So we fixed those terms here. $48 million is the maximum principal amount. The maximum interest rates are included in schedules attached. The third thing it does is it appoints a sinking fund depository and establishes a sinking fund. A sinking fund depository is a requirement of state law. It has been for this county the Bank of New York Mellon Trust Company National Association. It will continue to be. They're one of the 2 largest providers in the country of this service, and they are competitively priced. PFM, your financial advisor, did a process by which they evaluated proposals. Bank of New York came in the best. The function of the sinking fund depository is simply this. Semi-annually, you make payments on your bonds. Rather than paying a payment to each of the holders who bought your bonds, you make it to this institution, and they do the wider disbursement of payments. It allows you to have better record keeping. It also allows the state to have record keeping oversight. Fourth thing it does is it authorizes the execution of a contract with Public Financial Management, that's your financial advisor, for the placement of the bonds with the ultimate purchasers. That contract is sitting with the chief clerk. It is something that we have seen many times. We have reviewed it. I believe Mr. English had a chance to review it. It is very typical for this type of transaction. Fourth, it authorizes me and the firm to do a filing on your behalf with that State Department of Community and Economic Development. What we have to do is demonstrate to the state that you are A, within your legal borrowing capacity, and B, that we did everything necessary to effectuate the enactment of this ordinance, the adoption of this ordinance. I shepherded you through that process. It started with an ad that ran in the paper. That ad had to appear at least 3 days in advance of this meeting. It appeared actually last week. Second, if you vote favorably on this, I will run a second ad that tells the public that yes, in fact, we did vote affirmatively on the ordinance. We package that information up and send it down to the state, and they have a review period of at least 20 days. Last thing it does is it authorizes the officers to do some signing. Chairman, chief clerk, all of you will have documents to sign if we act favorably on this today. I've left them all with the chief clerk so that you can sign them at your leisure over the next couple of days, and then you return them to me, and again, that's part of the package I sent down to the state. The reason there's no rush is because I have to run that second ad. I have to wait for the proof of publication of that second ad. So that's at least a week from now or more. So we have plenty of time to get those things signed. And that is in a nutshell. Again, keep in mind, the goal here is we are taking the new bond issue to replace the old bond issue, replace higher rates with lower rates. We are not extending the term. The goal is to save money for the county.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
So moved.
Is there a second? I will second it. Discussion?
Yes, I have discussion. I'm deeply concerned about this. I concur with, this really puzzles me. I've consulted with 2 accountants about this, and what we came up with is why are we not combining the rebonding at the prison with the new building bonding? Okay, we have not thoroughly discussed this at the Commissioner's office. It would really cut the fees back. The fees can be up to $439,000 to do this, depending on this bonding or rebonding of the prison. The fees can be up to $439,000, depending on whether we decide to get bond insurance or how we carry this out. So this is really important that the commissioners have not discussed, at least with me, about why we are not combining this. We'd save substantial. If they decide to take off a bond on the new building, I assume they're going to approve today, we could put out one bond and have Series A and Series B. It's a very common thing with counties. We've done it in Butler County before. I think it's fiscal imprudence not to do this. I have not discussed it. If anybody else has discussed it, it's not gone past me. I had these 2 accountants I talked this over with. They concurred with me. And we also have not talked about, Bill McCarrier made a statement in a paper that he wasn't going to bid out the bonds. I think that's a very bad idea. RFPs are not bidding. RFPs are picking, hand selecting who you want and choosing from those 4 or 5 people. That is not a bid, and I think it's imprudent. The accountants that that talked to me one of them was excellent on bond issues, and I got this, and either they're making this decision, because I'm not going to vote to do this, and say we do another bond 6 months from now, we're going to get fleeced on the fees. And I have not, nobody's talked to me about that. I wish we'd make it public and open here today and explain it to me. Thank you.
As I stated earlier at the Monday meeting, at the agenda setting meeting, I never made a statement we were not going to bid these bonds out. That's part of the process, is going out for the best price. There's more than one method of doing that, and we are definitely going to go out for the best price in these bonds. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
I've got a rebuttal to that. RFPs are not bidding. When you ask lawyers for the county to give an RFP and they select 4 selected to come in, I'm using this in an analogy, they pick their friends, they say, we're going to choose from these 4, and you pick those 4. Now, does anybody here in the public, in their wildest dream, think that is bidding, like we're doing on the new building, bidding into the open market? It is not bidding, okay? Not with the true definition of the word bid to the open market. And why we're not doing it, Bill and Dale didn't chirp in, whether we're bidding this or not. I'd like to know that, and I'd like to know if we're doing a bond on the new building. If we're not going to do a bond and we're using the money from the proceeds of selling Sunnyview, and there is, just so the public knows this is $42 million. This is not peanuts. This is $42 million. They added an extra $6 million on this. He just told us the cap was $48 million. So theoretically, if you sell Sunnyview and you put the extra $6 million on this bond, you wouldn't need to float another bond for the new building. But the trouble is, I'm sitting here as commissioner, and I know none of it. I guess Bill and Dale are doing all of it. Okay?
All right, we've heard enough nonsense.
None of that was nonsense.
Would you like to address his issues?
I would only to the extent of the $48 million. The $48 million does not mean that there is $6 million available for some other project. The ordinance defines the project as the refunding of the 2004 bonds, and the limit is set that we must save 3%. If more bonds than necessary were issued, we wouldn't save the 3%, and therefore there is no trigger, we couldn't move forward. The $48 million is to create that maximum amount for the purpose of the state. It is not to create the opportunity to borrow more than we need. And here's why. When you look at the schedules in the back of the ordinance, it is not just that the final principal amount, the $48 million, is what's necessary. Each maturity, bonds are sold in serial maturities. So there's a maturity amount in each year. Each of those maturity amounts has to be of sufficient size that when you sell the bonds, if you exceeded even one of the maturities, let's say we sold bonds that came in at $41,500,000, but we issued more bonds in 2015 than we had on the schedule, we have to start over. It means that the ordinance is of no effect, we have to start over. So we build that box very big, just because we want to avoid that. It does not mean, under any circumstances, that we are allowed to use these proceeds for something else. It is solely for the funding, solely to save that 3%.
Well, I'd just like to say to this, thanks for clarifying that. That makes it worse then. If they do bond the new building, PFM, we have a financial advisor that's advising us to two different bond issues when we could save lots of money by not doing that.
But the fees are separate from the bond issue in this way. Most bond issues have fixed costs and variable rate costs. The variable rate cost meaning that it's a percentage of the deal. So if you combine two bond issues, for whatever purpose, if this deal balloons to $60 million, most of the fees are based on a percentage. Bond insurance, the amount that your underwriter, whomever that person is by whatever process is selected, their discount is a percentage of the overall amount of bonds issued. Those are going to be what they're going to be based on the size of the issue. So one issue, two issues, it shouldn't be relevant. That's a percentage of what's issued. The fixed costs are legal, that's me, our financial advisor. And you do have to consider that you're going to double up on those costs. But keep in mind, the market's fluid. The market's fluid. The rates you could get today might not be the rates you could get tomorrow. So for every day that you wait, there is risk. These bonds, your 2004 bonds are callable July 15th of this year. And we can refund them anytime within a 90-day period proceeding that. So we're within that period now. If we wait and go forward and the rates go up, even 0.25% on $48 million, you may, and this is Scott's area, this is your financial advisor area, not mine, but you have to show you, the math might be that you've actually lost money by waiting, because the interest rates over the next 15 years are going to be high. So I'm not minimizing your concerns. They're legitimate and they're appropriate, but it's not necessarily one-to-one. The rate you get today might not be the rate you get if you wait 2 months on your next bond issue. It's a calculated risk and decision that this county, just like any other borrower, has to undertake.
Last question. Is my source wrong that there's lots of counties, we've done it, and lots of counties do point A and point, or...
Oh, no, that's certainly true. That is absolutely true. But
so,
it also
to save money.
Yes, but you also have to have both projects ready to go at the same time. Because again, the more you wait, the more you bear interest rate risk.
Which it can't be illegal for borrowing money ahead of time because they've got this, they're picking out carpet and furniture. It's got to be ready for the new building.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
You're welcome. May I be excused?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The next action is related to Magisterial District Justice Office project in Cranberry Township, and we are asking for the adoption of Resolution 2014-07 authorizing the closing on the purchase of the property. I would turn this over to Solicitor English for any questions, and I would remind the board that item B we've already taken care of earlier in the meeting.
Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-7?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion? Questions? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
That was an aye for me, I guess.
The motion carries.
The next items are related to the Government Center Annex project. We have representatives here from Thomas & Williamson, our construction manager, John Thomas. And I understand that you'd like to take item C, the approval of the project labor agreement. That's
correct. Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Before I ask you for these approvals of these motions, I did want to give you an update. I think we have a copy of my PowerPoint presentation. First, I wanted to recap where we stand with the budget when I last visited you with the budget, we were in the design development phase, the cost had gone way down on our estimate. I told you not to get too excited, because it's gonna come back up, and that's exactly what it did. It's about $70,000 higher than where we originally set out on the budget. So for all intents and purposes, it's right where we thought it would be. It's on the budget. So we're at about 12.2. I have a breakdown that I've also given you that shows how the distribution of the costs are in the various contracts, and graphic breakdowns of those as well. I did want to bring to your attention that there are 2 additional smaller projects that are being integrated into the annex project. And it's the replacement of the roof on this building. And we've estimated that at $217,000 total project cost. And the replacement of the existing air handling units, we've estimated that at $1.6 million total project costs. So we're proposing to bid those as alternate bids inside the annex project.
Excuse me, John, that's included in the 12.2 then?
No, that's on top of the 12.2.
That's on top of that one, sorry.
So if we go to this next page, I rolled it all together for you as this combined project. It would take it to 14 million. If you get the alternate prices in and they're much higher than my estimate, you would be in a position to not award those alternates. You could proceed with the base bid on the annex. But I think that the numbers that we're being given by the vendors, they're probably a little bit high. The vendors don't want to give everything away. They don't want to give away all their secrets before the bid date. So I would expect, particularly on the air handling units, that it'll probably come in a little bit lower than what we've estimated.
Yeah, did we go for stock? Wasn't there custom and stock units there? That price caught me by surprise.
There were, we did look at custom units versus stock units. And stock units really don't fit up there to do the kind of work that you need to do. So we knew there was going to be some degree of customization on the units no matter what we did.
So that didn't pan out? That option didn't pan out?
Well, it didn't get us down to where we could have just a stock unit.
Okay.
But I think we have competitive numbers for custom units. We're not going out and getting the really elaborate custom units. So it could have been more than that. I'm going to have a motion to ask for your approval of advertising for bids. But before I did that, I wanted to recap the process. So should you vote to approve seeking bids today, you'll officially start the bidding process here on 3/19, the first activity. We'll be looking for the county to place the advertisement. I have Monday's date in there because my scheduling software just runs on weekdays, but we'd like to see it run on Sunday, if that's possible. We'll be conducting a pre-bid meeting on the 31st, and I have submitting the list of bidders on April 1st, but we'll continue to submit updates of the list of bidders throughout. We'll be receiving bids on April 17th. We'll analyze the bids immediately thereafter and send you out our analysis, probably the same day. But I do have a couple extra days in there just in case we see something strange. And then we'll begin to present, actually we'll begin to review the bids with you on the 30th of April to seek your approval to award the bids. And that will conclude the bidding process. I just wanted to give you a brief recap of the construction schedule. This is a very summary level version of it. We'll start the work immediately. There'll be site work, foundation work going on initially. But we'll be looking for the fit out work, the interior work to wrap up in early August of next year. I also have some floor plans in case anybody wanted to see those. Fellows from Stan Tech can give you any information on that if you need to hear any more on that. If not, the motion is seeking your approval to go out for bids. In advance of that, though, there was a separate item, I believe it's item C, which is your approval to enter into a project labor agreement for the project.
What about the first item there, approval of the documents? We not need to do that first?
We also have an item to approve the construction documents and the final project budget.
Let me just say that the PLA would be part of the documents.
Right.
So I would like to do that first.
Right.
Okay.
We are voting on all three separate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a motion then to approve the project labor agreement?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll say.
Discussion.
Okay.
I'd like to say this, if anybody doesn't know what a project labor agreement is, to give you an analogy, the Butler Hospital used this, and when they did their recent addition, it was huge. It worked out very good for them. It came out, their project came out under budget and under time, or on time, I can't remember. Sorry. The gentleman from the union's here, Jim Saylor's here from the union, but he was graciously enough to come to my office and explain this to me. I really appreciated that. But what it primarily does is it cuts out work stoppages. All the union agrees for the betterment of everybody involved, not to have a work stoppage during the project to help the county and all the workers, and they agree on that and they enforce it. Okay, that's the primary thing. And another wonderful thing is that we talked about this, I talked about this with Jim Saylor, that we really believe the pride that people have in work. I worked all my life with my hands and construction, and the people in this area are selected first in the union halls. If you're close to the job site, you're selected first. Now you have to meet the qualifications, but you're selected first. So that was a big issue too, and I think that was a big selling point. But I'm very happy. I'm going to vote no on the building, but I think this is a great idea, and I commend them for it, okay?
Okay, any other discussion on the PLA? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Joe.
I too would like to thank Jim Saylor for the effort that he made many trips up here and explained it to all of us. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, now I suppose we can have the vote on the approval of the construction documents and the final budget. Final budget being 14,090,423 total project budget for the annex plus the re-roofing and the installation of new air handling units on this building.
Is there a motion to approve that?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? I will second it. Those in favor say aye.
Discussion.
Okay.
I have a question. Just so I'm clear on this, on your original estimate, you had a 10% contingency fee for cost overruns. Between that and now, you reduced that to 5%, correct?
I've taken the design finalization contingency on my estimating completely out, but I've left a contingency for 5% in for construction. So at the very
originally 10, correct?
At the very beginning of the project, I was carrying 10 on my estimate and 5 for construction, so there was 15. When we got to the design development phase, I dropped it down to 5 and 5, so it was a total of 10. A little bit of compounding in there. And now I've taken all of the contingency out of my estimating because I have final documents from the architect. So I'm trying to predict what the bids will be. But I have reserved 5% for contingency during construction for change orders.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
You're welcome, sir.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you, John. You've done an excellent job.
I have one final item of business.
I know you have. But I just wanted to thank you for these documents that you went over with our architect, and you've saved a lot of money, and we appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Now that we've approved the PLA and we've approved the budget and the construction documents, I do have the advertisement drafted that I'll leave a copy of that with the solicitor. and I'd like to ask for your approval to advertise for bids.
I'll make the motion. I will second it. Discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
The motion carries.
Okay, and that's all the business I have for you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate all your time.
Thank you.
Good job.
Last item, we're going to ask for your adoption of Resolution 2014-08, approving the asset purchase agreement and operations transfer agreement for the sale of Sunnyview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Solicitor English.
Yes, gentlemen, as Amy Wilson has said, you have, the resolution actually does three things. It approves the operations transfer agreement, which is the sale, for lack of better words, of the business of Sunnyview, the asset purchase agreement, which is the sale of the assets, the land, and other items of Sunnyview, and it provides authorization to close on that transaction. Before you vote on this, I would like to say that I'd like to compliment and thank everybody who was involved in the negotiation of this transaction. The gentlemen are here who were the group that is going to buy the home. I've never sold a nursing home before, but people that have tell me that this transaction has gone very well. That has been my experience. I believe everyone has negotiated in good faith. It's a large and complex deal, but we were able to work out all of our differences in what I think is a pretty expedient manner. I would like to give special thanks to Charlie O'Hara, who is here as well, if anybody has any questions for him, from the firm of Clark Hillthorpe Reed. He is the county special counsel on this project. His experience and expertise was invaluable to me in assisting me in these negotiations, and it has been invaluable to the county as well. Bruce Peckman is sort of the face of the project, and Bruce, if you'd like to introduce yourself and your partners, maybe this would be a good time to do that.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, could you just stand up, please? In the back of the room are my partners at the 360 Investment Group. We own and operate several nursing homes, and it's an honor, and we look forward to a long-lasting relationship with Butler County and the privilege to take care of the most infirm individuals in the county. Thank you very much for considering the purchase for us, and we appreciate all your help in moving the project forward.
Thank you, Bruce. And I'd say that if the process to date and working with Bruce and his group is any indication, then I'm optimistic that we're going to move along quickly and effortlessly to the transition and to the closing on this transaction, and I look forward to a long and successful business venture for them in the best interest of the county and the residents. That being said, the matter is for your vote.
I will make the motion that we sell Sunnyview Nursing Home for $360.
Is there a second? I will second it. Those in favor say aye.
Now we can have discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've got some comments out here, and I'm very pleased to see the people from 360, even though I'm going to vote no on selling it. There wasn't really any, for me and the other commissioners, I don't believe in Sue Murray and Heidi Coyle went with us to New York. We're very fortunate to have a group, even though we're doing something that I don't like, that I'm fortunate to have them, and I had to smile a couple times after seeing them come in the room today, because they were hands down the best group, okay? But please bear with me here. I'm going to finish on a good note, but I would like to state this is, I just like 360 to know this. I'm very outspoken. They know that I wasn't for selling it. I told them when I was in New York. But I told everybody involved in this that it was very important for me that I'd like to agree on who we sell it to. And hands down, I feel that 360 was number one. Okay? There's no doubt about that in my mind. With Jonathan and Eli and Bruce and Shalom and all the other people, I was very impressed. But I'll finish out on that because I want to finish out on a good note. But there's some things about this that weren't so good going down the pipe here. So I'd like to say this. I went to a dinner the other night. Gave me the Farm City Banquet gave me the idea for this, what I was going to say today. Lots of the things I do. And the Rotarians put on part of the Farm City Banquet. and they have four-way tests. If you're a good Rotarian, you believe in these values. And I'm going to go over these values and see if it holds true with the sale of Sunnyview. Number one value that they hold dearly, is it the truth? Okay, my version on that is, did Bill McCary and Dale Pinkering get elected on telling the truth about Sunnyview and building and building when coming into office? I do not believe they did. Was that fair to the community? No, it wasn't, okay? You know, they didn't say they were selling Sunnyview, they wouldn't have got elected if they would have. That's my opinion. They did not say they would. Aren't we obligated to have elected officials that tell us what we're going to do and stick with it before and after the election? I think we are. A tax increase for the new building. They didn't tell us the truth on that. There will be a new tax increase on the new building. It's a over $1 million expenditure on the building itself, and you have to put people in it, and power, and everything else. So did they hold true to that, the truth? I do not believe they did. Number two, Rotarian. Is it fair to all concerned? Well, I got a lot of senior citizens that don't think it's fair to them. Now, I'll give you my hopes and wishes at the end. I told you about that, but is it fair to senior citizens? Well, I don't think it is. Fair to the unionized workers. Well, we all know they're going to take a big cut in benefits, and we know why. But is it fair to the disabled, mentally disadvantaged? I mean, all these things are up in the air, and we hope we pick the best group. But it says here, is it fair to all concerned? Well, I don't think it meets that criteria. Now, I sure in the hell hope it does, and I think we picked the right group. Number three, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I think we, you know, I don't think that, these are their creed, not me. And by the way, I'm not a Rotarian, okay? But I think their ideals are quite honorable, okay? But will it be beneficial to all concerned? Well, I don't really think that either. I mean, I think I was willing to pay an extra $15, $20 in my taxes, property taxes per year to help these people that are less fortunate than I, and we've been doing it for over 100 years. Now, the fourth one in the Rotarian is, it says, will it be goodwill and better friendships? Now, I have a world of hope springs eternal on me on this. I don't think that we could have these gentlemen, when we went to New York, were very free with their religious beliefs. They're Orthodox Jews, and I didn't know what an Orthodox Jew was when I went to New York. But they're very big on family values. And one of the gentlemen that's buying this has a disabled child, and they put forth, I'm actually getting emotional about this because Jonathan did. You know, he had real values that he sold us on his child being disabled, and Bruce Peckman did that when we went to these different nursing homes they called Bruce by name, and it was very impressive. One woman had cancer, she was black, and they treated her like she was a friend. And she was an employee. Very impressive. So I commend them on that. And you make no mistake about this, if we had to sell it, there was hands down, these gentlemen were the ones to do it. And I'm very thankful that they were so open about their beliefs, about morality, ethics, and what their family values are. They have very high family values. And that's really important to me, and it's important to them. So I said I'd end on a good note, and that's the best I can do. I'm not happy, but I am happy with who we picked, and I'm smiling inside seeing them there now. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jim, and I would like to reply to your comments. First of all, naturally, we did not campaign in that. I think, though, that if we had a campaign of selling Sunnyview, we would have won. When you started your against the selling of the project with your newsletters and your rally in the park and asking people to call us, we had about 20 calls in my office opposed to selling Sunnyview. But I've had probably 200 people call or email me or stop me in the street and say, you, Commissioner, you're doing the right thing by selling Sunnyview home. The time has arrived when small nursing homes cannot exist. It's time for companies who are more expertise, such as the 360 group, such as Bruce Peckman and Jonathan and Eli and Jake, all these gentlemen. I miss some of you, I know. But as you said, Jim, these are fine people. I concur with you 100% that we are selling it to the right group, and I believe we are selling it for the right reasons. It's not just economic. It's the fact that to run nursing homes under the new health care regulations and all the other things that are taking place in our country is something that requires more expertise. It's a big business these days. You referred, I believe, in your talks back to the 1800s. Well, lots of things have changed since the 1800s. Sunnyview was not started as a nursing home. It was started as a poor farm for people who had no place to go. And they had to work to maintain their existence there. They had to work in the farm. And we took care of, yes, we took care of mentally retarded people there in a very archaic way. If you look in the basement of some of those buildings up there, you'll see cells where they were locked up. Things have changed. Things have changed in healthcare, fortunately, for the mentally retarded people. Now we try and keep them in their homes, and this is a good thing, a wonderful thing. The same is true with healthcare. It has changed. We're not doing the same things as we did in 1800 because everything is changing. We have a much more efficient process coming into place. The 360 group has already told us how they're going to make changes which will make the home much better than it is now. And not to take anything away from Sue. Sue has done an excellent job of running that home along with Heidi and all the other employees up there. They do an excellent job. But they don't have the corporation behind them that 360 does to do the best. You talk about the truth. Here, I'm going to end on a bad note, Jim. All you have to do is look at your truck and see that you don't tell the truth. Dale, do you have anything?
I do believe that we did pick the best company to take it over. And as we went through their nursing homes, we did see them. They actually knew most of the patients' names. They knew all their employees' names. And they are very well respected in the industry. And we're very pleased to be able to do this today because they're a great corporation and we appreciate it. Thank you.
All in favor?
I'd like to say this too, to finish that. I'd just like to make a public reach out to anybody from 360. I'd be go overboard, I mean way overboard, if you need any help. And I'm sure anybody in this county would, Sue Murray, Heidi, any help you need to make this work and make the transition smooth. Mike English told me that this, I asked him in private the other day in the office whether the transition went well, and he also made it public today that any help you guys need to make this work. You'll be you're in a community that's, we're not all numbers. You know, we're still small enough that, you know, we're people, not numbers. So if you need any help, I just ask, okay? Thank you very much.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
That's all for new business.
Motion to approve the budgetary transfers.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the new hires.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the travel
I'll make
request.
that motion.
Is there a second? Motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to approve the requisitions.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the check register.
So moved.
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Conference time with the media. Kayla.
What was the purchase price for Sunnyview?
Mike, you have that exact figure there? I have the document here, but taking
20, I think I know, right?
20.4.
Yeah, 20.4.
Kayla.
Can you please explain what that included in mine?
It includes everything. You get it all.
That includes the facilities, the accounts
You get the
receivable.
bedpans and
Well, I meant the accounts receivable.
they get the AR, they're buying the AR.
That's what I meant. So the price is inflated because of accounts.
No. Well, I don't think inflated is the word.
Commissioner Exeter, are you pleased with that price?
I didn't have time to analyze that. To answer this truly, it went very fast in the last 3 days. The contracts are very thick, and the other two commissioners read through that and analyzed it. God bless them, because it went way too fast for me. Okay?
Solicitor English, I know there's things pending, but when do you expect the closing date to be?
Well, under the contract, the closing date is to occur on the first of the month, on the first month after the purchasers obtain their license from the Department of Health. So we don't have a specific closing date. I wouldn't, there's lots of opinions about how long that could take for the Department of Health.
Am I correct in saying that they won't, Investment 360 won't immediately assume management until that closing date?
No, it's the county's home until closed.
However, they probably will be in the building. We'll probably give them permission to go in the building and analyze things and work with the current employees. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, we want to make the transition as smooth as possible without, of course, interrupting the day-to-day operations.
Okay, that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Tom?
One question. From the original set of conditions the county had for a sale, as part of the negotiations, did the county make any concessions from that original set of conditions?
I don't think we did.
I don't think so, not really. I mean, we work out, it's more a matter of working out details. I mean,
Right.
an RFP is a page and a half long, this is a 40-page document, you know. I don't think there were any concessions of any significant type.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Bill?
Where to begin? The most simple thing is, can you put it in English about the bond issue? Simply like how much from 2004 you're refinancing, how much you're expecting to save after this one?
I'm not the numbers guy, I'm sorry.
We
I think we have about 40 million now.
Bill, we can put you in touch with the PFM group, and you can call them. But it's right around 40 million.
Yeah, that's the best I can tell you in terms
From
of.
2004.
It has been paid off so far.
What does that entail though? What does bond cover? You know?
I don't know.
Most of the jail.
Bill, I have those figures right here.
Most of
I have
them.
those figures. Most of the jail time. And you got it minimum. I'm good.
If you would talk to Scott Shear or Kim, my assistant, she can talk about it from day one. If you talk to Kim, she can talk to you. Is that all you have? Motion to adjourn? So moved. Is there a second? All in second? Say aye.